这个故事如果你听起来不累，那么你的听力水平在生活中是完全够用的。要持续提升英文，记得点击订阅按钮。我们开始吧。
He thought he was ready, right up until the rope tore his skin and everyone saw it. The ship did not welcome him. It groaned under its own weight, wood against water, as if it had seen too many boys like him come and go. The sea stretched out in every direction, endless and cold, and Jack stood there with a bag that suddenly felt too light for a life this heavy. No one greeted him. No one needed to. A voice cut through the wind. Move. Don't stand like you're lost. Jack moved. That was the first lesson. No one had time for someone who didn't move. The deck was alive. Boots hit wood in fast rhythm. Sails snapped above like giant wings. And everywhere, ropes. Lines crossing over each other, tied, pulled, released, tightened again. They were not random. They were a system. A language. Jack did not speak it. Grab that line and hold, someone said, pointing without looking at him. Jack nodded like he understood. He didn't. He picked a rope that looked right. It felt heavy, rough, real. That had to mean something. It meant nothing. The wind shifted. The sail above filled like a lung taking a sharp breath. The rope snapped tight and ran through his hands before he could react. The pain was instant. It was not a slow burn. It was a tearing heat. Like his skin had been peeled open in one quick move. He let go too late, and the damage was done. He stepped back, staring at his hands, red lines already rising. A laugh came from behind him. Then another. "You don't know the ropes," someone said. The words were simple, but they carried weight. Out here, not knowing was not just embarrassing. It was dangerous. Jack said nothing. But inside, something shifted. That night, the sea was calmer, but his mind was not. He lay in a narrow space below deck, listening. Every sound had meaning now, even if he didn't fully understand it yet. A rope pulled too tight. A sail not set right. A step too slow. He replayed the moment again and again. Not the pain. The mistake. Morning came with no warning, just a change in light and a shout to get up. Jack went back on deck with his hands wrapped in cloth. He expected more orders, more pressure, more chances to fail. Instead, an older sailor stood beside him. Tom did not raise his voice. He didn't need to. "You got hurt yesterday," Tom said. Jack nodded. "Good. That means you felt it." Jack frowned. That didn't sound right. Tom pointed up. "Look." Jack followed his finger. The ropes were everywhere again, but this time he forced himself to really see them. Where they started. Where they ended. What moved when they were pulled. That one lifts, Tom said. That one turns. That one holds when the wind tries to take control. Jack listened harder than he ever had before. You don't need all of it now, Tom said. You need one. Learn one well enough that it won't surprise you again. That was different. Not everything at once. Just one rope. Jack chose the same one that hurt him. At first, it felt like facing something that had already beaten him. But he stayed with it. He watched how others handled it. How they held it loosely until the moment it mattered. How they wrapped it just enough to control it, but not enough to get trapped. He practiced when no one asked him to. He failed again. The rope slipped. Not as bad this time. He adjusted. Days passed. The crew stopped laughing. Not because he was good, but because he was no longer useless. That was progress. Then came a moment that almost broke him. A simple order. Pull and secure. He moved too slow. The sail shifted wrong, and the ship tilted harder than it should have. A voice shouted his mistake before he even understood it himself. Too late. The words hit harder than any rope. That night, he sat alone, staring at his hands. The cuts had started to close, but they were still there. Proof. For a moment, he thought about leaving. About stepping off at the next port and finding something easier. Something that didn't demand this much attention, this much failure. Then he looked at his hands again. They didn't look weak anymore. They looked used. That mattered. So he stayed. The next days were different. He stopped waiting to be told. He started watching the wind. He started moving before the order came, not guessing, but reading what was about to happen. That was new. Tom noticed. You're starting to see it, he said. Jack didn't answer, but he knew it was true. Then the sea changed. The sky darkened without a slow build. One moment gray, the next almost black. The wind rose fast, not steady, but wild. Storm, someone shouted. Everything moved at once. Sails had to be controlled. Lines had to be held. Mistakes had to be avoided, because now they would not just hurt. They would cost more. Jack's heart pounded, but his hands did not freeze. A rope snapped loose above, the same one from his first day. It whipped through the air, fast and dangerous. No one pointed. No one told him, He moved. He caught it. The force slammed into him, nearly pulling him forward, but this time he was ready. Not fully. Not perfectly. But enough. He shifted his grip. He felt the pull instead of fighting it blindly. He waited half a second. Then he pulled. Another sailor joined. Then another. The line tightened the right way. The sail came under control. The chaos dropped just a little. Enough to matter. Minutes felt like hours, but slowly, the storm lost its grip. The ship survived. And so did Jack. After it passed, the deck was quiet in a way he had never heard before. Not empty. Just calm. Tom walked over. "You didn't guess," Tom said. Jack shook his head. "No," he said. "I knew." That was the moment. Not when he stopped making mistakes, but when he understood why they happened. The phrase "learn the ropes" did not come from comfort. It came from places like this, where learning was tied to pain, to risk, to doing something wrong until it finally became right. It traveled from ships to cities, from decks to offices, from storms to quiet rooms where people still feel lost on their first day. Because the feeling is the same. Everything is new. Everything moves fast. Everyone else seems to understand something you don't. You make a mistake. People notice. And it stays with you longer than you want. But if you stay with it, if you pay attention, if you stop trying to look ready and start trying to actually learn, something changes. The noise becomes a pattern. The confusion becomes a system. And one day, without anyone announcing it, you move at the right time, in the right way. You don't just see the ropes. You understand them. Somewhere in your life right now, there's a deck you feel unsure standing on. A set of ropes that all look the same. A moment where you think everyone else is ahead of you. They are not. They just started earlier. You are still at the part where your hands hurt. That is not failure. That is the beginning. The ropes are not there to stop you. They are there to be learned. And once you do, everything that once felt like chaos starts to feel like control.
能以非母语者的身份专注学习到现在，这本身就是很棒的进步。真诚感谢你的观看。如果你觉得本期内容实用，点赞或留言让我知道你的想法，这对我持续创作非常重要。我们下期见。